And yet another old Disney film finds itself on the chopping block. This time it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The path to cancellation begins with the recent reopening of Disneyland. I don't have to reiterate my general view of theme parks, especially ones owned and operated by Disney. I'll only say that if Disney World is hell on earth, which it is, I can only imagine what Disneyland must be like. Disneyland is the knockoff version of hell. It somehow manages to be a downgrade from hell. It's like going from a Comfort Inn to a Motel 6 or from a McDonald's to a Burger King. But that's not the point here. The point is that the website SF Gate, owned by the San Francisco Chronicle, published a review of the new Disneyland experience. It was mostly positive, but it did include this bit about the Snow White ride. It said, quote, "The new grand finale of Snow White's Enchanted Wish is the moment when the prince finds Snow White asleep under the evil queen's spell and gives her true love's kiss to release her from the enchantment. A kiss he gives to her without her consent while she's asleep, which cannot possibly be true love if only one person knows it's happening. Haven't we already agreed that consent in early Disney movies is a major issue? That teaching kids that kissing, when it hasn't been established if both parties are willing to engage, is not okay? It's hard to understand why the Disneyland of 2021 would choose to add a scene with such old-fashioned ideas of what a man is allowed to do to a woman, especially when the company's current emphasis on removing problematic scenes from rides like Jungle Cruise and Splash Mountain. Why not reimagine an ending in keeping with the spirit of the movie and Snow White's place in the Disney canon, but that avoids this problem?" Yes, and what a problem it is. Lots of bigoted right-wingers have been making fun of this passage in the article, but I don't see what's so funny. They raise a good point. Snow White was actually not only sleeping, but it was believed that she was dead, right? It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but she was dead. I mean, they thought she was dead. The dwarves put her in a coffin until the prince shows up and begins to sexually assault a woman that he believes to be dead. This is normalization of necrophilia as well as rape culture. And what about those dwarves? We're just going to leave aside the fact that they attempted no form of resuscitation, no first aid of any kind, before deciding to put her in a coffin and leave her for dead? Well, I mean, wasn't she, if she was just sleeping, she was breathing. They didn't even try splashing some cold water in her face or something? Put her in a glass coffin that was exactly the right size, I might add. Did they just have that lying around? They invite a woman into the house, and they have a coffin her size waiting outside for her? These troubling questions go unanswered. And that's all to say nothing of the fact that none of the dwarves, to my knowledge, were voiced by actual dwarves. Just as the magic mirror was not voiced by an actual magic mirror or even a regular mirror. Representation matters, and Snow White gets it wrong on that front time and time again. And what about Snow White herself? Now, not to victim blame, but she's in her kitchen one day when a random creepy old hag shows up at the window, giggling maniacally and pushing a piece of fruit into her face and telling her to take a bite. And she does? Can you imagine someone knocking on your door and they got an evil smirk and they say, "Hey, I got an apple for you. Why don't you take a bite?" And you say, "Well, gee, I am kind of hungry." Chomp. What kind of food safety message does that send to our kids? Suffice it to say, there's plenty of reasons to cancel Snow White, and not just her. Let's get it all over with. Why trickle the cancellations out? Let's do them all at once. Why hasn't Aladdin been canceled yet? Yeah, they remade it and injected some, additional wokeness into the screenplay. But the whole premise of the movie is one that normalizes and romanticizes forced labor. The genie is a slave, in bondage, imprisoned in a tiny cell, and has to sing and dance and perform tricks in order to win his freedom. It's no wonder there are so many white supremacists in this country when they've grown up on movies that normalize the enslavement of people of color, specifically the color blue in this case, but still. Also, The Lion King. It celebrates autocracy through the problematic benevolent dictator trope embodied by Mufasa. Meanwhile, the marginalized hyenas are cast out into the Darklands, and when Scar, the Marxist revolutionary, leads the hyenas in a class uprising, it's cast by the film as a nightmarish event. The audience is meant to cheer when the privileged son, Simba, returns from his sabbatical to claim the throne. Kills the revolutionaries. Throws them into a fire. The whole thing is highly offensive and problematic. What about Pinocchio? The film ruthlessly reinforces the gender binary by revolving around Pinocchio's desire to be a, quote, real boy. Now, a simple change here would have turned it from a bigoted hate fest into a true artistic triumph. Pinocchio would have needed only to transition into, rather than a real boy, a girl, or a trisexual polygamist, Or even just simply a pansexual, lesbian, non-binary, semi-female, genderqueer Starbucks barista. Why not that? But there's no salvaging it now. Pinocchio should be canceled. Beauty and the Beast needs to face consequences too. The one good thing about that movie is that it has a very progressive attitude towards sex. Belle enters into a romantic and consensual, for the most part. I mean, she was imprisoned by the guy, so. But aside from that, a romantic and consensual bestiality relationship with the Beast, and that's very progressive, very enlightened. Surely that should be applauded, but the rest of it is profoundly objectionable. Consider the Teapot Character. A woman is made into a literal object. It is the most blatant case of objectification ever put to film. And that's nothing compared to the other character, the Feather Duster. If you can believe it, the movie depicts not only a woman turned into an object, but the object is an actual feather duster. Now, any old misogynist will say that women should do the cleaning, but it takes misogyny on steroids to suggest that women should actually be the cleaning supplies. My God. Cancel Beauty and the Beast. Cancel them all. We need to move past movies as a society. If you want to be entertained, just stare at a blank TV screen. That's what I do. Create your own movies in your head. Last night I sat for 3 hours and I stared at my screen and I imagined that I was watching an action film about a black, disabled, lesbian, trans woman beating up oil executives and NRA lobbyists. Hollywood thinks it's woke, but it isn't woke enough to make that movie yet. Maybe it never will be. And so for now, Disney is canceled. All Disney movies are canceled. All other movies are canceled. It's all canceled. Listen, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it right now. I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.